Hey, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Angela O'Hare, your one and only favorite Las Vegas realtor.
Hey, and I'm Rob Howe, Rockstar Realtor. Late.
Sorry.
My bad. I don't even know what I was thinking.
If I didn't even text him, he wouldn't even know to come.
I just got in I was boom, boom, boom going, and then I thought I had time to stop by one of my listings, which I will have to do afterward. But and then you texted me, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Just completely fell out of my head here. So luckily the listing was not too far.
Yes, let me turn it. I'm hot. It's hot. I got a new neon.
Yeah.
But the only thing is maybe because we're using my computer camera, you can't really see it. It's kind of blown out or whatever.
Yeah. What's the word? I don't know.
Fuzzy.
Yeah. It's cool though. Las Vegas is pretty nice there.
Yeah, that's nice. Favorite Las Vegas realtor. Got it on Amazon for 200 some bucks. Yeah. Wasn't that bad.
Custom made.
Custom made. Yep. Well, we're gonna dive down into the numbers and not socialize since we are 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
We'll try to keep it. No worries.
Everything's been
balanced. Good. Everything has been great.
Yeah.
Wait. Why am I not balanced? There you go. I don't like it when it's not balanced. All right. Sorry. Yeah, we just finished remodeling the 2 bathrooms, so I'm pretty much almost done with the remodel in my house. All I have left now, I'm getting custom closets and upstairs, all of upstairs bedrooms, and
like the built-ins and whatnot.
Yeah. Cool. And then I can say I'm done, maybe for this year.
I know the feeling.
Because I see something else, and I was talking to my contractor. I'm like, can lights, the new flat LED lights that are the bright daylights. I want to do that next. I'm going to change out all the light switches to the new modern smart switches. So, there's always something that needs to be done.
There's always something. Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I've been, doing my thing.
Right.
Not crazy busy, but busy enough and happy,
Perfect.
Pretty simple. Life is pretty simple. It's hot. Tennis is happening in the morning or in the evening.
Yeah.
When I get to play
in a long time.
Yeah. Well, we're getting ready for the playoffs again. So I go to Salt Lake City in August. So that's the word. But we got some interesting happenings in real estate, huh?
Yeah. So definitely have a lot to go over today. Basically, we are going to be going over June of 2023 numbers in this market update.
Yeah.
And we're just going to go ahead and dive right into it. Let me pull up the screen. So it was kind of shocking numbers for me.
Okay.
And the reason I say that was...
Yeah, well, I would like to hear that.
So the number of closings, there were 2,293 single-family homes that sold last month, which is down 1% from May and down 14.1% from June of 2022. So the number of closings was just slightly less than last month. Okay. But we know that the number of closings are always going to be not much because of lack of inventory.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's, the demand is not as high certainly as it was the year before.
Right.
So, but still, even with the demand, like you said, there's not the inventory. So
yeah. And then the median price of single family homes went from $442,100 to $440,900, which is down like 1,000 something, 3.3% from the prior month and down 8.1% from the prior year. So that was kind of shocking that we had a slight dip or decrease in the median price, considering we had predicted a huge increase, and considering we did have a $12,000 increase from the month before.
Yeah. I think that's well, it does show. First of all, I still look at it as a lot of consistency in what's happening, because the median still is about the closings. It's not really the average. It's not the average. It's the median. So you could have.
I had to explain to somebody what a median price means. So an average is when you take all the numbers and you divide it by the amount, and that becomes the average. The medium takes it from the middle, from the above and below,
Right.
and that's your medium price.
So that can move a little bit. And even though, we thought we were on an upswing and would see that, it's not terribly surprising to see it, adjust slightly. It also, it's a reflection of how tough it is out there, even for a seller to really try to push and get more out of properties, even with low inventory. People are trying to make it work on the buying side. So,
right.
Yeah, I don't see it as a bad thing. I see
No,
it as
actually,
consistent. I definitely see it as a consistency and is a consistent market out there. And it's showing that, we are hitting, there are times you're going to hit ceilings where people are just like, hey, you can't keep squeezing me here. I see it on a listing that I just had. It was, we got multiple offers, but everybody was within a zone.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's trying to make it work.
It was an extreme multiple offers.
Right. It wasn't just like, it was a little, and everybody's, really making more, they're just making more decided decisions, if you will. There's taking not really.
Right. I mean, now if you do get multiple offer, they're not seeing, or I'm not seeing, or my buyers, we're not doing waiving the appraisal contingency. We're saying if it appraises at a certain number, the buyer's willing to go 10,000 above appraised value, not to exceed purchase price. That's what I've been seeing. But for the bulk of it, my clients are cash, so I don't have to really worry too much about.
Yeah. Well, we had a cash offer that was pretty darn good, but the seller ended up taking a financed offer that was a little bit better.
Sometimes cash isn't king.
Yeah, there's still, well, when it's dollars and cents, 30 days to make $10,000 more.
Right.
Sometimes the seller's willing to do that. But anyway, I just see that's what we're up against a little bit, is that, I looked at some of the numbers that people are paying for around a $400,000 house. Of course, I've been dealing with people that are doing that, but everybody has a different circumstance. And if you're looking at an FHA at $400,000, it's a hefty monthly payment, so they're trying,
because the minimum down payment for an FHA loan is 3.5%.
Right.
So if people are only putting the minimum down, then their mortgage is going to be almost over $3,000.
Yeah. And it is coming into effect, that little, hey, if you've got good credit thing.
Oh yeah.
That charges a little bit extra. So everybody's a little tighter on everything.
Yeah.
So
what I'm seeing, actually, we're going to go over real quick the history of the median price for the last 3 years.
Okay. Yeah.
So the median price last June of 2022 was at $480,000. Now, remember, the peak of the median price was May of 2022 at $482,000. So it only dropped $2,000 from May to June last year. But from June of 2021, the median price was at $395,000, and June of 2020, the median price was at $325,000. We are currently sitting at $440,000, almost $441,000. A lot of people, and we have those doomers out there that are saying expect the market to crash at the end of this year or early next year. I honestly, wholeheartedly don't believe that the median price will ever fall to 2021 or 2020 numbers.
Yeah, I would 100%
because that's a long
agree.
ways to, well, it's like 50,000.
Well, and here's the deal, because especially when you're talking about that short, inventory. We know that's a short time frame.
Right.
The end of the year or beginning of next year, that's 6 months. I mean,
no one can predict 6 months
or whatever. Well, but what I'm saying is that in order to have it really, just if it's just the interest rates doing it, that's not going to do it.
Right.
So there has to be, as I like to say, there has to be other shoes to drop. There has to be other economic issues that are creating this. And we're a long way off of that, especially in Las Vegas. And I just think that Las Vegas has so much strength with so many people that are looking to get away from areas that they're getting pinched much heavier than the people here are.
Right.
And, you've got equity too. So, yes, if there was something crazy to happen, a lot of people might try to put their houses on the market at the same time. But what would have to happen to make that happen?
Right. And I think the reason what we will see an influx of buyers and continue to see an influx of buyers is the baby boomers.
That's
The
a big one.
baby boomers are in the retirement age now, and a lot of them live back east. I get a lot of New Yorkers, New Jersey, Connecticut. I get a lot of people from Washington, Oregon, California.
More expensive markets.
More expensive markets. They're looking to retire, and how far is their money going to go?
Yep.
So they sell their homes, they come down here, they pay cash, and they live off the remaining proceeds from the purchase of their home. They're frugal. They're not buying elaborate houses, maybe 500,000. They're buying in these retirement communities, but now have a comfortable lifestyle.
That's what they're looking for. Yeah. Comfort is exact the word I was going to use.
Yeah. So that's where, because we have so many retirement communities across the Las Vegas Valley, we have probably about 25 of them in Henderson, Las Vegas, and North Las Vegas, that I'm seeing a lot of baby boomers coming of age, wanting to retire early because they work so hard, flush with cash, and coming here to Vegas.
Yep, for sure. It's a big part of the story. And, how many of those people do you need to keep your market moving along when you don't have a lot of internal movement? Internal movement, I'm talking about like, if I live here already and then I decide to sell and then want to buy, there's not a lot of that.
No.
Those people aren't really deciding to do that right now because we know the mortgage rates, they're too high. If they're at a 3%, why would they want to change it out?
Exactly.
Right. So most people don't want to do that unless it really makes sense.
I very seldom have local buyers. And I'm a buyer's agent. I do a lot of buying. I work on the buying side.
Yeah.
And those people that do, my previous clients that are selling, they're selling and relocating out of state.
Sure enough.
For job purposes or family purposes. And
there's always a reason, right?
Yeah. But that's why we don't have the huge inventory, is because what we've been saying is, why put your home on the market when you have a 2.53% interest rate and then buy a house that's more expensive at a higher interest rate? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yep. And then there's some general fear in the marketplace, which is what we can touch on. We can touch on all the YouTubers saying what they're saying. My last video, the whole intro was about like, hey, I find it irresponsible. I find it to be propaganda at this point. And I also think that they're kind of going all in one more time to say, here's where it all happens. Well, in Las Vegas, I just don't see it.
The problem I have with the doomers is that, a lot of people feed into the negativity. And as you know, you and I are very positive people, and I don't feed into it at all, because the only reason that these people are doing these types of videos is to capture views and to help out their YouTube channel. Because they will get 1 million views and think they're the most honest realtor in the entire world for telling them not to buy right now. But are they doing a favor for you? Or I think they're doing you a disservice, because they're not painting a true picture of what is really happening in the market. They're only predicting of what could happen in the near future, at the end of this year, based off of other key environmental or economical factors that may or may not happen.
Yeah. And if it was that easy to just be able to say, because we've been hearing recession all along, and I have thought, this is probably, there's conditions in the marketplace for this, and I still think there's been mild recession in the background all along, because things are expensive, so people are pulling back.
Since COVID,
right? It feels like right, but that big thing, that big wave of what everybody keeps talking about. Now, if it was that easy just to say this is going to happen, and here's where you got to wait till, it's just not that easy. And, a lot of times people, by the time they are saying, here's what's going to happen, the market has already priced in those things. There's already, especially in the stock market, all of that stuff has already been like baked into the cake. So unless you're looking much further out, whereas this is where I have more questions, and we do have to wonder about what happens as we go into maybe, I don't know, the first half or second half of next year. What's going to happen? I don't know. That's where the zone is of I don't know, but it doesn't mean like the sky is falling. I don't know.
The problem is, if you're continuously to live in fear, that's no way to live.
Well, these people have told people for now at least a year that the sky is falling. And if you were somebody that did need to move, that your best opportunity may have been late last year, beginning of this year.
Well, the problem is this one doomer says, All right, folks. I'm saying don't buy, but if you want to buy, you can always give me a call at such and such.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you're telling them not to buy, but then you're telling them to buy, you're giving them mixed messages.
Well, that's fine. And I
I'm just
think,
kidding.
No, I think that mixed message is just fine, because it's like, I would hope people see through that,
Right.
which is that, I'm happy to sell you a house, and tell you that, you're going to lose on that house right away.
The problem is this. We do agree that the market has become inflated, and it became inflated last year. And some of the homes for the Las Vegas average person has become unaffordable.
Yes.
However, unfortunately, I don't think we can go back. 2008 was a whole different story because of the subprime lending and all that crap. Yeah. I don't feel that we will ever go back because of California.
Yeah, this is the way I look at it. Overall, Vegas got hammered, absolutely hammered in 2008 and beyond the Great Recession. And since then, there's been a lot of insulating of our market. And I know that this has happened across the country in some ways, because this has to do with how lending gets done. But this is an important factor, because now we are sanctuary to some of the places that have much harsher conditions than we do, and for a multitude of reasons. And so, people are going to be continuing to head here, and that will continue to give us a concrete foundation. Not only that, you brought up a great point. The Las Vegans are the ones who are like going, wow, what happened in the last 3 years? If you've been here and our threshold was right, it feels like, whoa,
300,000 was the median price for a long time.
Right. But for people coming here elsewhere, it's not so much. It's still.
Well, when I look at the history, there was like some report, Redfin or Zillow, of the median prices across the country. And I'm telling you what, Vegas was faring pretty low compared to a lot of other major cities around.
And that's what people are looking at. And they're looking at the potential and what it means to live here, and all the things that have now blossomed and bloomed and continue to do so in this town. So people look at that and they see, the upswing. Not only that, but Vegas is a valley. We're going to fill up. I mean, we already have been. And so there is a point where there's no more new building. And then that means that the real estate just keeps going up. It does. That's whether it goes through the roof.
LA and California.
San Francisco. Yeah. Great. They had to keep building up. They don't have any room. We aren't San Francisco, so we aren't going to get to where our median is like $1.2 million or anything, or more than that in that area. But you know what I'm saying? We're going to have a strong foundation to sit on, because we are that sanctuary for people that are going to run away from areas. And I have been saying that. I always thought that Vegas, because of what it's been through, that people would look at it that way for a long time to come, that we would be benefiting, even though there might be this cloud of economic distress, that we would actually benefit here. Yeah. So that's what I've been seeing.
All right, let's get into the luxury market, and then we'll answer some questions.
Yeah, keep the questions coming.
So there were 114 homes that sold in June that were over $1 million and over, compared to May, which is 132 homes, which is an 18 home decrease. We always see ups and downs, peaks and valleys in the luxury market. The median price for the luxury market in June decreased to 1.495. And in May, that number was at 1.515, which is only a $20,000 decrease in median price, which, again, not bad.
Yeah. And we considering the low volume, we're still seeing over 100, easily over 100 sales a month in the luxury market, which I know when we started this, they were below.
Right. Often. Or the season, at least they were. I mean, last year, of course, they were over, but this season they were like in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. I mean, this year, not this season. But yeah. And when we first started years ago, yes.
The average was below 100 more often than not, if I remember.
Yeah, it was like 1.2. The median was around 1.2 normally.
The median, the price and the amount, how many were selling. So even in this, I've definitely seen it, and I have. There's pent up demand for luxury. If there were more available, like especially certain types of properties, we would see that.
Well, prime example, last month right? We were showing the same listings.
Yeah.
There was a house in Red Rock Country Club that had an open house that sold with that day or whatever. They had multiple offers. So the luxury market, if it's a great house in a great location, it's selling pretty fast as well.
It's pretty amazing. Yep. Yep. And there just isn't enough
Yes.
out there. I sold I sold a property in December that resold for like 100 and change more.
Wow.
Yeah. It just closed. I was astonished.
Okay, let's get to some questions and then finish up. Yeah. Hi, Tracy. We're going to go over so it is about 7.2. I have an interest rate thing right here. Did I not put it? Oh, so yeah, the National Home Price Index as of July 6th for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage sits at 7.2 currently. Who knows what the Powell is going to do. Did you know Jerome Powell was a deadhead?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. He's a Grateful Dead. He loves Grateful Dead.
Wow.
And he's been to a lot of the current recent shows, Dead and Company shows.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool that Jerome Powell is a deadhead. But anyway, that's beside the point.
I know a few people that you'd be surprised, you know,
like me.
Really? Oh, well, maybe not you though, because like you can pick up on your vibe. I've had clients and friends that I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, we followed him around. I went with my son all over. I'm like, what? Unbelievable.
And then so will this further freeze inventory and possibly bring down prices? The only reason prices are not going down drastically is because of lack of inventory. If we had more inventory, then prices would go down. Yeah,
absolutely. And I do think that the interest rate factors in always. So yes, it does make things harder. So certainly there's, an effect on the market.
We'll see slight declines if the inventory continues the way it is and the interest rates increase, just like we just saw a small decrease. We will see minimal decreases in the median price, but nothing drastic.
So the question I would have to ask, and you would ask, is like, what's going to bring more inventory on the market, other than just if you just had such a high rate that there wasn't anything selling,
right?
For a long enough period that you actually built up inventory. That I don't see happening. Maybe towards the end of the year we see a little bit more. I see this is not the sky falling to me, even if that happens.
Right.
Because if Powell, speaking of Powell, if he was basing it on Las Vegas, I think we'd be seeing interest rate increases for sure.
Majorly, yes.
Yeah. But because we're not, and because there's definitely different things happening all over the country, different markets taking place,
right?
Which is traditional. We're getting back to where that actually is normal, to have like California and in all of its areas has all differing markets, and Vegas and so on and so forth.
Right.
So that's what they have to look at. Mm-hmm. Some of these places are going to be like crushed if they keep pushing it up. Maybe they'll push it up a little bit more, but if they keep going with it, right? But Vegas is going to be able to withstand that to some degree.
The jobs report was announced today too, right?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to take a look at it. I think it's been positive. It says that's the other side of the things, is that like all the things that that the feds they do and don't want to see those jobs go down. They do, but also their best scenario would be that where they don't destroy people's jobs and put them out of work.
Well, I just don't, and maybe I'm not intellectual enough to see it, but I don't see how raising interest rates tames inflation. Because what is pretty much, besides houses being overly priced, yes, but food is too expensive. Gas is expensive. Electricity has gone up.
This is where it's sticky.
Natural gas has gone up. How do you, by raising the interest rates on a home, tame those markets?
So the interest rates aren't just for homes, of course. So
right.
It's for all types of lending,
right.
financing, and so there's a myriad of different places that can affect it. Where you're talking about is a good point, because a lot of that stuff is like trickle down eventually stuff. Like eventually it starts, once food goes up, it's hard for it to go back down. Because you think about it. Even if you go to a restaurant, they've changed their prices.
$50 for two people.
Yeah. When are they going to decide, you know what, we will bring it down? Well, when people aren't coming in. You know, so it takes time. It takes time for this to happen.
I mean, we went grocery shopping yesterday and didn't even buy meats or anything and spent over $200. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is crazy.
And this is for people that are what you and I are not like, you know, we're not suffering. We're just seeing it. We're seeing it. So you can imagine those who are on the edge. It's, you know, so that's definitely had its, and that's what the Fed has to take into account, you know, what's happening there.
But then what you do is you want unemployment to happen so people become homeless. Then they're going to collect food stamps and unemployment. So, I mean, it's a never ending cycle. Why would anyone want to make people not lose their jobs?
Yeah, I think again,
it doesn't make sense.
I will say this, that this is the first time in my life, your life, that we've seen this type of happen. I was really young. We were really young when they last did this stuff. The Paul Volcker days, they call it, when they shot him up to like 18% or whatever.
Yeah, but the price of a house was $70,000 compared to
So these exact circumstances are certainly new. And so knowing the exact outcome of those or exactly what's going to happen, I think we just stick to what we know, which is Las Vegas and the real estate here and what we're seeing happen. This is how we can stay truthful, honest, and not just be cheerleaders. Wishing something, because we all get a little resentful when somebody goes, "You're just saying this so you can make some money." No, we're telling you what
we're telling it like it is.
What's out there.
We can't. I mean, we're telling you the numbers that are factual. We're showing you the true numbers, and we, based off of our assessment for the last, the trend that's been happening, what we can predict within a month or two. We can't predict the next 6 months. I can't tell you. The doomers are saying next year is going to crash. But before, remember, they were saying now is going to crash, and now they're changing their tune. So at the end of this year and beginning of next year, they're going to be changing their tune. Oh, not until 2025. Well, if you kept on listening to them, right? Listen, the point is, and the prices keep on going up, and you listened to them and didn't buy, and you wanted to buy, but he told you, or they told you to wait, you're SOL.
Yeah. Again, if it was that easy. And so the numbers are in all the people that believe this is all coming down and they're going to take advantage of their opportunity. So, so clearly there's pent up demand to take advantage of some opportunity out there. But even right now, there's pent up demand. In the moment, there's pent up demand. If they change those rates at all, boom. So
even if it averages down to 5%, I think we'll see maybe 1 or 2 more hikes, but I think the 5.5 will be the new norm. Don't ever expect it to go below that. And we just got to get used to it.
That very well may be true. And I would side with you on that for sure. So, we just look at Vegas and look at what's growing here, what's taking place here, what's the demand overall. And these are the conditions that are going to continue to be set forth as we go along, regardless. Something I want to point out too is that we get to the end of the year. That's traditionally a slower time of the year. One of the reasons why I know that there's but for sellers, it definitely will be this year. They're gonna. I just don't see that we're gonna have a whole bunch of new inventory, even though there might be a slower market taking place.
Last December, I had 10 closings. The 2 Decembers before that, I had 6. So normally November for me is quite busy.
I've definitely, I'm just saying, traditionally speaking, that's when you're seeing a slowdown.
We'll get to some of these questions in a minute. We got to get on track to the numbers. So now that takes us to the number of new listings. There was 2,617 new listings on the market for the month of June, which is only 0.5% up, but down 44% from the prior year. So then what I looked at was last year this time, there was a little over 4,600 new listings on the market, which is over 2,000 more than we have right now.
That goes to the story. Last year, the inventory was the story, but the demand was like probably 5-10 times what it is now, whatever it is. And now we have the desire for people to put their houses on the market has really, really decreased. And so people are chilling, not putting their houses on the market. There was a real demand for people to put their houses on the market.
Yep.
And still we had that low of inventory
Yeah.
back in 21
Yeah.
or 22. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, that was over 2,000 new listings last year this time. So we
That's
don't have many new
folks.
listings at all.
That's the story. And until that changes, until there's some reason that everybody just goes, oh, I got to get the house on the market and get it sold, that's not changing.
Well, I mean, I hear a lot in the chatter. People were like, well, if unemployment goes up, then people won't be able to afford to have their houses.
Okay. Does that all happen at once?
No.
No. And how long does it take for that effect to happen?
Right.
Okay. So would people like maybe start trickling more on the market? Would those get
well,
filtered out?
oftentimes these banks are willing to work with you unless
That's
they
the other
haven't
thing.
paid. You know, they may do a forbearance if you call your lender
Yeah.
or your mortgage company. And oftentimes they're willing to work with you to get a payment schedule until
They
you
are.
get back on track. Oftentimes now there's multiple families living together because affordability, you know.
Yeah. There's so much there's a lot of dynamics and details in there.
Right.
And so for all of that to happen, so people look at 2008, and we always have to bring that up because that was the most recent crash for the real estate market.
Right.
And really the only one in our lifetime, certainly probably the worst one ever. I mean, for the housing in certain areas, but that'll happen because lenders could come in 90 days and take your home. 120 days, take your home. Right?
Well, and another thing
they can't do that now.
I mean, you watched that movie, The Big
Short.
Big Short.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just lending. People were having 3-4
yeah.
houses.
Yeah.
Anyone can buy a house.
Yeah.
After that, they learned their lesson and they became very stringent on the lending practices. So we don't have that issue because people are well qualified and they made sure of that.
Yeah.
And they're still doing that now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. 100%. And that's the lesson they learned as well on the other side when it comes to taking back houses. They want to give people an opportunity to stay in there and to fix the problem, because guess who loses the most if they have a big foreclosure avalanche?
The banks.
So they figure that part out. They figured out that, hey, plus the government came along and said, hey, you can't just be ripping these houses from people like they did.
Well, I mean, there's people that had 3-4 houses and they couldn't even afford them then.
Yeah.
I mean, especially after the first year, they had that arm, right? The first year they had the very low interest rate and then they suckered them into getting higher interest rate. I mean, it was just a big mess back then. And that's not the case this time around. Even
though we're seeing arms now, which are different, folks.
They're different.
They're different. And that's why they're better. And that's why we're not going to see that same problem.
Right. So, and a lot of the builders, and we'll get into the builder incentive soon, they're doing a lot of arms, but they're doing it into a 30-year fix. So the first 3 years, it'll be an adjustable rate. And then the 4 years to 30, it sets in as a 30-year fixed rate.
And a reasonable rate if you look at the current rate. So that's definitely different, right?
Yeah.
So you're not just suckering people into buying houses right now.
And we can't go off of that previous market collapse because it's a totally different thing. I think that's where these doomers are basing it off of, and they're predicting, because it took a minute before things to really like 2008 was the crash, but 2012 is when we finally hit bottom. Yep. I don't see that happening this time around.
Yeah, it's very different circumstances. Now, people have talked about Airbnb. Okay, I want to address it. I'm surprised nobody brought it up because I've seen it all over the YouTube that, the next big thing is the Airbnb crash. Okay, again, I'm going to say this. This is definitely potentially a problem in localized areas, in areas that maybe that Airbnb traffic is going to hurt them not having that. But in Las Vegas, Nevada, folks, I got some news for you. We are a tourist town, and we will be able to sustain a lot of the Airbnb here unless they're just complete ding-dong managing their Airbnbs. They're going to be okay in most ways and shapes and forms. Maybe you don't make as much, but these people were making a killing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the thing is that all the master plan communities here in Las Vegas, Henderson's a little different. I'm not too familiar with, but especially Summerlin, Desert Shores, all the major master plan communities do not allow short-term rentals. The shortest lease that they allow is a year. They don't allow 6 months. So if you do find an Airbnb in any of these major communities, it is illegal. They're not allowed to be doing it.
If it's an HOA, they can't do it in almost every one of them. Pretty much any HOA, every Airbnb buyer knows just to avoid those. There are
but a lot of them do it to get away with it.
And they might for a little while, but so those people are taking a risk knowingly, and they also know the other side of that risk. That okay, worst case scenario, I just got to rent this puppy out for a year,
right?
Or I decide to sell it,
right?
But is that a mountainous amount of houses coming down the pipe?
I'm for Las Vegas. That Airbnb is strict in these HOAs because I wouldn't want to have people, different cars and different people coming in on the weekends or during the week and having God knows who come in my neighborhood.
For sure. There's different parts of the valley that have, like Henderson has a program, but they also make sure that there are so many spread out and all this stuff. They're trying to do it. The same thing in Clark County. City wants to do one. They still haven't gotten the Clark County one on online yet. But anyway, it's just my point, because that was the new buzz thing was, oh, here it comes. All the Airbnbs going out of business. Okay. Not to mention, Airbnb is not just the entire house. Some people sublet, so they only just. So anyway, it's
a little too much for beyond me right now.
Okay, sorry.
So there are only a total of 3,680 single-family homes listed without offers at the end of June. In May, that number was 3,645. So it's only up 1% from the previous month, but down 36% from the prior year, meaning last year they had less inventory. So this is where this number has been hovering around for the last couple of months in the 3,600 range. And if this number increases, then you're going to see the prices decrease. But since this number is relatively same, we're not seeing a major decrease in median price.
Nope. Folks, I'm doing what I call my early warning system for all the doomers out there. If you're really looking and thinking that you want to see this stuff happen and you can't wait for that big old crash to happen, I'm going to be the first one to tell you, because I'm doing it every week, a 7-day assessment of what's happening. And right now I can tell you that it's been super consistent. And that's what we're seeing on the month to month as well.
Right.
But if I suddenly saw some numbers jamming up, jamming down, whatever, that's going to immediately let us know, hey, something's happening, especially if I saw it. Okay, here's 1 week. Now we got another week.
Right.
Now we got a third week. And for sure, by the end of the month, we would see that that's now compiled. Well, you would be the first to know about that.
Yeah, definitely. And, our market updates are not to predict what's going to happen, or we're not trying to say, hey, you need to buy from us now. Now's the time to buy. We're just telling you, hey, this is how the market really is. And what we are analyzing, the numbers being experienced, licensed real estate agents that have good sales.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because some of these doomers don't have any sales for the year and only maybe a few for the year before. So are they really a good source of what the market really is?
We don't mean to harp on this, but you have to be careful who you are investing with. Okay. Your mentality, who are you investing your mentality with? I don't know. It's wild out there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because all the big numbers of people watching this stuff goes to these people who don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Well, because they have the clickbait, they have the, oh my God, the sky's falling every week, and their story never changes. It's the same shit. Yeah. But a different day, the title may change just a little, but it's the same stuff every time. Anyway.
Sheep. Don't be a sheep.
Yes, don't be a sheep. Alrighty, we're cruising right along.
Get some.
So months of inventory is at 1.6.
Mm-hmm.
So last month it was at 1.6, but obviously there must have been some like 1.6 and change, because it was a 2% increase, which is kind of interesting, because I looked and last month it was at 1.6 as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And then it's down 25.5% from the prior year. So last year we had like 0.9 months of inventory, but only about a month and a half of inventory and a single family homes and a population of 2.4 million people. All right. That's very low.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as you can see in the chart, we reached the peak back in like December timeframe or whatever.
Mhm.
And so now like it keeps on dropping and dropping and dropping. It's not to the levels of 2021 and 2022 levels, but I think it's going to relatively remain consistent.
Yeah. I saw this coming again on that 7-day. I said in my prognostication, I said we're going to be around 1.6 again, or maybe go up or go down slightly.
Mhm.
But that this is exactly what I thought would be happening. And keep in mind that inside this inventory is a whole bunch of stuff that is not really viable for you as a buyer. So if you're a buyer, I'm looking for this type of property in this neighborhood, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. All right. So that narrows it down to how many there.
Right.
Right. And then maybe those properties, there's some tenant occupied junkers that you really can't even, it's not really viable. There's some stuff that needs work, and there's some overpriced stuff that's certainly not viable. I can tell you on my last comparable that I did for people, there were 2 properties that were on the market for, I don't know, 200 days, 100 and something days. And they're just totally not even in the zone of what the price should be.
Right.
And so this is within our already low inventory.
Yeah. And the thing is that a lot of times I'll see on these YouTube channels, people pulling up Zillow and showing how many price decreases Zillow's having. And their thoughts are the market's crashing because there's so many price decreases. But in reality is that the people or the sellers had listed it way over to begin with, and they're finally just getting back to where they need to be.
I have to add something to that because you are right on point. And that is a great point. That we do have always a lot of price decreases because there's always sellers that start too high. Okay, that's just always the case, and sometimes they need multiple decreases
to finally get back to where they need to be.
They got to get down to earth, and if they really want to sell, that's where they need to be. And some of these people don't really want to sell, or they just aren't. They got different, circumstances. But also, the thing that is important is those price increases.
Yes.
Because we can see on that, I do the 7-day, I can see where the price increases were and where the price decreases were. There's always more price decreases.
Right.
But when you see that price increase goes up, that means the sellers believe they can get more for their property, and probably can. Sometimes they come back on market and they go, you know what?
Right.
Market's improved. I'm going to go for a little higher dollar.
Right.
And they'll actually get that. Or this is a popular listing strategy, which is to get multiple offers, and then when you get your highest offer, you go ahead and change the price to your highest offer.
Yeah, and that's probably illegal because anytime you change anything on the MLS, it needs to be signed by your broker and the seller.
Well, as long as the seller's agreeing to it, I think you're just fine.
Yeah, but why would a broker do that?
A broker's gonna do what the seller's gonna do. I mean, it's
yeah,
it's okay.
And so then it makes it look like, oh my gosh, that's what their highest offer was.
Listen, we can tell people if the seller, remember we got that change of, I don't know, it's been a while now, but you can tell any agent what your exact terms of your contracts are if the seller says it's okay.
Right.
So why couldn't you just go ahead and tell the world that by saying, here's the price?
True.
So they're doing it, and it works.
Yeah.
And so that's actually, to me, that's a thermometer of where the market is, where the temperature is.
Definitely. All right, let's get to some questions. When will sales start in Ascension? I do believe sometime at the end of this year or beginning of next year. I haven't been down there in a couple of weeks. So, those model homes, usually Pulte will have the model homes up and then they'll start selling. Toll Brothers, they announced their 3 different collections coming.
Okay.
Toll Brothers are been known to sell before the model homes are up. And the Toll Brothers homes in Ascension are going to probably be just like Mesa Ridge starting price. There's 3 different collections with 3 different, 2 single-story collections and a 2-story collection. And then the same thing with Pulte. If you want to learn more, you can go to my website at neighborhoodsinlasvegas.com under Ascension Village, where I've broke it down. They haven't disclosed for Toll Brothers what type of homes they're going to have, but they have disclosed at least the square footages, which they're going to be massive houses, like 5,000 square feet. And expect, if you guys want to get in the ground on those, don't expect them to be $500,000 houses starting out. I anticipate them to be 800 plus
at least,
if not more, for base price in that community.
That's gonna be one heck of a popular community. It's right next to Summit. It's right next to Mesa Ridge, and just in the
Sienna, Trilogy, Summerlin.
Oh,
And they're going to have, it's all going to be
sweetheart area.
gated and guard gated. It's going to be a vibe, in my opinion, from what it sounds like, kind of like Reverence. It's going to have a community center there, a gym, things like that within that community. So it's going to be like a mixture of, in my opinion, Mesa Ridge and Reverence.
So that makes sense, because Mesa Ridge is sort of okay-ish on their community as far They got nice stuff, but it's not like, and Reverence is a little higher end of that.
Right.
So maybe somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I should go droning sometime soon to see. The last time I did it, it was being graded. But they need to get those models built now, because it takes, especially the bigger houses, it's going to take a minute, and Toll Brothers takes a very long time.
That area is going to have no trouble selling.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in Ascension, you get on it now. You get with us, and we'll take care of as soon as we can.
Yeah. So then, hi, Adam. Hello. Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't seen you commented on any of my videos in a while, but I'm glad that you are watching it. You want to read the next one?
Yeah. Can you talk about new home incentives? I bet we can. The builders focus on building median prices housing more affordable. The builders focus on, so you're saying, what's the builders focus on? Building median pricing houses, more affordable housing. Okay.
Well, we're going to go into, as soon as we answered the last question, we're going to go over the builder incentives. We still got, maybe if we can breeze through it for 10 minutes, try to make this at least an hour.
Okay.
So lot prices to be, it's probably going to vary depending on if the lots have views. Where I've seen in Summerlin, how much do you remember Mesa Ridge? Like 300,000, 150,000?
I mean, I would imagine they're going to be up there around 250 at times.
Probably depending. I mean, if you get one that's on the inside and it doesn't have any views, it's not going to be as expensive.
50 grand or something.
Right. Because Pulte had been at Carmel Cliff, their price points were pretty high for lot premiums. But then after, the whole increase in interest rates, they started like cutting their lot premiums in half. So, but I think this is going to be a very popular high demand area. So I can't at this time speculate what the lot premiums are going to be.
Save some money.
100. Yeah.
Save some money. Just, hey, look, you'll be happy if you got some extra money that you don't use, right? All right, great.
All right. Let's get into the builder incentives. You know what? Actually,
they asked about the affordable houses. It
says more affordable houses for new builds. Okay, so the builders focus on building medium pricing houses, more affordable housing. So the builders do. There are some builders that are more affordable than others. Prime example, KB tends to be more affordable. However, where they're going to get you is your upgrade options. Century Communities is pretty affordable. Storybook Homes is pretty affordable. D.R. Horton is very affordable. If you want to learn more about a lot of these new construction communities, again, just go to my website or reach out to us, because I know pretty much where a lot of the great new builds are happening right now. Yeah. So the builders are not starting, though, in that, very few in the mid 300s is where they're starting pretty much. But it'll be hard to find anything under 300 in new construction.
Oh, I'm not. Maybe out north.
No,
nothing
north
over northeast.
Everything's starting to get
northeast,
expensive.
Maybe.
That's
so it's going to be area specific too, about how affordable we can.
Right, but I do want to say, after doing this research on the new builder incentives, that a lot of these builders are no longer offering incentives that used to offer incentives. So the incentives are starting to dwindle. The interest rate incentives that they were offering when I was saying now was the time to buy new construction are not as good as it was, because they were offering 2.99, 3.99. And then some of them are getting rid of their standing inventory. But the newest trend I'm noticing in some builders like Woodside Homes, they are actually, it's easier just to build the standing inventory homes and then only have a few dirt lots to pick from.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And that's where you can get some really great deals, is a standing inventory home or home that will be completed within this year, because they want to move that product and they also want to move it for year's end.
Yeah, so I tell the people all the time, build the new builds. You're gonna look for your best deal towards the end of the year. When they want to close out stuff,
right?
You might find some standing inventory now in between that time that's just as good as a deal, but that's where your heart is at, and your heart of what you're gonna get a deal on is gonna be at, and it's because, again, traditionally, that's when they slow down a little bit, so they have to wheel and deal a little more.
Right. Yeah.
Last year was a great example of that. Ange was all over that. I have always given her credit for seeing that and recognizing that was something that was not happening ever before and probably won't happen again. Sorry, folks, if you were listening to the wrong people, you missed out.
Yeah, because again, if you listen to these people and wait till next year and the prices keep on going up, the interest rates may go up, and you bought and then you want to sell, think of how much equity you would have gained from now until then. Like I had a lot of clients in 2020 after COVID. They're like, oh, we're going to wait this market out. The market's gotten a little crazy in Vegas. Guess what? If they would have bought, think of how much money, hundreds of thousands of dollars they would have made in equity if they would have bought then. So the point is you can't ever time out the market. If it's affordable for you and if it's the right time for
100%.
you, then it's now is the time for you. I'm not saying everyone needs to buy now, but it's depending on everyone's circumstances.
Absolutely. You have to do what's right for you. And that's what's going to matter in the long run. All this other stuff is noise, especially when you're buying your primary residence.
Well, and two, you have all this money saved up and you're ready to buy, but then now you're renting for a year and you're paying $2,500 a month for rent. That's how much in a year? In a box that's not yours. So $2,500.
And this is going on the light side, depending on what type of real estate.
It's $30,000 that could have been your down payment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it makes no sense to me.
Yep. And if you were looking for the rental market to get any better, I mean, it's only really
it's starting to stabilize.
It's now leveled off.
Yeah.
It's.
I read it in the RJ. I think it's the medium is like 1,500 now.
Really? No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gone down that much. I can't seem to find anything decent for
I'll
that.
have to look.
I've had some really close friends and family that I've helped.
Well, yeah, it's probably not on the east side or something.
Yeah, I don't know where that comes in, but
yeah. I mean, if you're willing to pay $3,000 on a rental and not on a home that you're building equity,
yeah,
And another thing too, I brought up the baby boomers. A lot of the baby boomers are cashing out on their 401ks because how that market is, and they rather put it in something more, I guess, is it liquid or something more attainable? And then they still are financially secure because they don't have to worry about a mortgage payment. And our property taxes.
It's a big piggy bank.
I'll tell you what, I sold a $1.3 million home in Sun City and their property tax is like $3,000 a year. Okay. So, and I have a lot of clients back east. They're like, your property taxes are what? And that's prime reason why a lot of people relocate here is because our lower property taxes and no state income tax. And also we don't tax on 401k if you take money out of your 401k or something after you've reached your age.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
All right, so let's get into the builder incentives. The first one is Taylor Morrison. They've been having this incentive for a while now. Their summer event. Enjoy lower payments for the first 3 years with limited time financing when you use their in-house lender and you have to buy a move-in ready home. But for the first year, you can get it at 2.49%, the second year, 3.49%, and the third year, 4.49%, and then the fourth through the 30 is 5.49%, which is lower than the 7.2% interest rate that you're getting right now.
Yep.
So to me, what I've always been saying, if you're going to buy, sometimes it may be better to buy a new construction home, especially Taylor Morrison, when you can get that awesome interest rate.
Yeah, you might not even have other options anyway. So get that new home and get that great interest rate. That's about what you're looking at for a lot of the incentives, though, is going to be
And another reason why
interest
the
rate.
incentives were not as prevalent is because since we have such limited inventory in the resale side, the new construction side is picked up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
Now, obviously, you have to have a new home contract entered from today to the 31st of this month and close by the end of August for Taylor Morrison in order to capture that incentives. And then Toll Brothers is also having an incentive. They're offering a special 5.49% 30-year fixed interest rate on their quick move-in homes that will close by August 21st. Now, again, sometimes Toll Brothers, though, their houses are very expensive. So you're getting into that, is it a bridge loan? Jumbo loans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So sometimes you may not even get that incentive depending on the cost of the Toll Brothers home.
All right. Well, Toll Brothers is always a little bit of a question what they got going on. But if you love that home, you love where it's built.
Right.
Forget about it.
Toll Brothers, people may shoot me, and Toll Brothers are okay. But whenever I go into Toll Brothers home, it just feels very boxy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like Tri-Point. I like that, how Tri-Point is.
Tri-Point's great.
Yeah.
They just don't build the same product as Toll Brothers.
But they're pretty comparable.
Yeah, maybe in some areas.
Yeah.
But not all of their areas. So they Tri-Point has a lower end than Toll Brothers by a long shot.
Well, they have their townhomes and stuff like that. Yeah. They do have a lower end product, but then their higher end products is phenomenal. But the build quality, regardless of high end or low end, has been very exceptional with Tri-Point homes.
Yeah, I like Tri-Point. They've done a good job.
And Pulte, another good builder, they're offering a limited time special interest rate offer of 30-year fix at 5.25 for their quick move-in homes when you use their in-house lender. And you have to go into contract from now until whatever, but close by August 31st. So again, we'll see another set of incentives. 5.25 is like 5.49, 5.25. That's almost 2% lower than what the average is right now at 7.2%. So again, if you want to buy,
but
there are some lenders out there being pretty competitive now too.
Yeah, they have to be.
Yeah,
there's fewer lenders. A lot of them got out of the building.
Right.
And so the ones that are there have to compete for the business that's there.
Yeah. Richmond American, their deals are never all that good to me. But if you close on a home by September 29th for a VA and an FHA, it's at 5.375 on a 30-year fixed. And for a conventional, it's at 5.75 for a 30-year fix. However, if you do get closing cost assistance from them, that interest rate increases, which is kind of interesting, to 6.125 for a VA and FHA and 6.625 for a conventional. So I would not get any closing cost assistance if my interest rate is going to go up like almost double. I mean, not double, but a point almost.
Yeah, right? You got to do the math on that and what it means to you there. Probably the rate is always going to cost you more in the long run.
Right. And then we're at Century Communities. They are locking in an incredible 5.875% interest rate. Last month, it was at 4.875. So I told you every month it's going to change. Mm-hmm. And I think every month these incentives are not going to be as strong as they had been.
Without a doubt, during the summer,
we're
not going to see better.
Right.
For the next,
we may see it towards the end of
60 to 90 days. What do you say? Probably at least we're seeing this not get better. It's only going to be where it's at.
Well, I have some prediction thoughts. So when we get into our thing, I'll get into that. So basically that's the list of all the builders that I was able to find. So I couldn't find anything on Lennar. I couldn't find anything on D.R. Horton or Tri-Point Homes. Before in the past, I did have some of these. So as you can see, a lot of these builders aren't offering as many incentives as they were in the past. I'm burning up. I need a fan. What's it at? 78. All right. So lastly, we are going to get into the bets. And
man, not again.
I've won consecutively for 8 months in a row.
Oh my goodness. Man. I never had that consecutive type of.
All right. So last month, Rob predicted that the median price would increase by 7,600. I predicted 7,500, and it was a decrease of 1,100.
Yeah.
Oh, my battery died on that light. So obviously, you know, we thought because we saw such a $12,000 spike the month before and median price increase, we thought we would continue to see that trend. We were a little off. We were a lot off.
Yeah, we were a lot off for sure.
But the others, we were pretty close. Rob said that there would be 3,700 homes without offers. I said 3,500, and the number was 3,680.
Yeah.
And then months of supply, Rob said 1.7. I said 1.6, and I said one. I mean, yeah. And then it was at 1.6. So
yeah, listen, I even said when you picked that, I was like, how do like going below just sounds like crazy. Going above sounds more reasonable. I mean, I just was in a no win on that,
right?
Because I couldn't win. You picked 1.6, and I knew it would be around.
Well, you get to choose which one do you want to predict first, and I'll let you pick first. Which one do you want to go first? Do you want to do
any one of those?
Yeah. Which one do you want to go first? Do you want to go on the median price, or you want me to go first?
You go first. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go first on the median price. So it's actually perfect because, you know, Rob always says that the summer heats up in Vegas. I have a different thought on that. Hold on, let me look at numbers. I always see in my personal experience a decline because now we're in the full swing summer, and then pretty soon August is going to be back to school. I don't think we're going to have an increase again. I think that we will either remain the same or see another slight decrease, not a major one. So I'm going to say a 1,500 decrease.
Okay. That's a smart number to pick here.
You should have gone first.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I don't know. It's tough because I think there has been a little bit of a spike in some of the numbers. I'll just go above you just by like $100 or something. It doesn't matter.
So what are you gonna say? 1,600 or 1,400?
I'm sorry. You're saying decrease.
I say decrease, not an increase.
Right.
Yeah, decrease.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say it stays the same, or I'll just go $100 above you.
So 1,600 decrease.
Yeah.
Right, so
no, above. So it would be 1,400 decrease.
Okay.
Sorry, that's what you see what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. You get to go next on the next
All right.
one.
Without offers, we'll go ahead and say it's going to stay around there. So I'm going to say 3,750.
Okay. I am going to say 3,600.
Okay.
And then months of supply, because we're decreasing in price, we're remaining relatively flat and without offers, I'm going to stick to my 1.6.
All right. I'm going to stick with 1.7. Then I think it's going to go up for sure, but by only a minuscule amount. So
Yes.
1.7 may just cut it for me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's it. All right. We're going to wrap it up. Anyone have any other questions before we say sign out? Yes. Weather 2, physical assets. Thank you, Damien. Yep. That's it.
Wow. Good show, folks.
Yeah. Thank you guys for your questions. We appreciate when we get feedback or interaction. It's always awesome to have interaction. And look, we'll be right under an hour and 10.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, if you have nothing more to say, thank you guys so much for watching.
Rock on.
And do it peacefully.
And we'll see you
on the next one.
Good time.
Saved by the bell.
Didn't turn off my phone today. Man.
And